Everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to do the review of the Uncanny X-Men 208 from 1986. Yes, it's that old. And it was a time that I really enjoyed the X-Men. But at some point I just got bored through the years, mid-2000s of the X-Men. I didn't feel the series anymore and the characters. And especially what they are doing now with the whole Krakoa thing, and maybe, I don't know, maybe that's already past that, but I really don't like the X-Men anymore. They changed too much, and so I'm going back to the past, and then, I read this and I thought to myself, oh man, this comic is so good. But before we go into this, I want to say, I wanted to review this today, but the PPRD issue number 2, I reviewed issue number 1, and it was for me a little bit of a, let's say, info dump. I didn't know what's going on. The reason that I'm bringing this up is that I'm not going to further review this particular series anymore. Not because I don't want to, but this I found out this is a trilogy. And this 125 that I have is part 2 of that trilogy. So I don't have part 1 and part 3. So that means I'm not can review this comic objectively because I don't know if it's good, because I don't have the information about that. So for now, I'm gonna leave this review of the BPRD for now. I try to hunt volume 1 and volume 3, and then then we're gonna revisit. If not, well, then that's what it is. But also, if you like my content, maybe you want to subscribe to my channel. I do reviews every day, every new content, and subscribe and like my video, etc. Enough talk. Let's dive in. So we see here Kitty Pryde, and I believe her superhero name here is Shadowcat, and she's very angry at Wolverine because Wolverine here, I believe that this is the lair of the Morlocks, stabbed Rachel Summers, who is in this time period Phoenix or part of the Phoenix, and she can't believe that Wolverine did that. And Wolverine says, I did what I have to do. Now, there's a reason for that, because Rachel was tried to kill the Black Queen called Selene. She's an energy vampire, and Kitty is going against that, and she says, "Hey, why didn't you stop her? Because she was Selene is an evil guy or evil person. She's part of the Hellfire Club. She probably deserved that." But then Wolverine says, "Hey, we're not taking a fair fight between them, not even close. Ray went into the Hellfire Club with one goal: to execute any of the inner circle she found there. You approve, Shadowcat? Is that what the X-Men has become? Murderers?" And by the way, not unimportant, it's written by Chris Claremont and John Romita Jr. Chris Claremont, probably the best writer of the X-Men ever. It's debatable, of course, but that was what a lot of people saw at the time and still is. I mean, I think he's still one of the best. And Wolverine highlights a couple of sentences here that I really think that's cool. Now, what cool? It really represents what X-Men and superheroes are standing for. They are not murderers. They are, here to save people. It doesn't matter if you are good or bad. Not unlike modern comics, when Kitty Pryde has now tattoos on her hand and, happily kills people because modern writers can't write. But that's besides the point. And anyway, so Wolverine says, like it or not, girl, we're heroes. We're supposed to stand for something. If we break the rules or throw them away, why should anybody follow them? Yeah, perfect. And so they are doing a little bit more of a bickering here. And then Storm comes in and he says, hey, we need to find her because she's still alive. And before she can do any more harm, or maybe, she's Well, they want to rescue her. Let's leave it at that. Meanwhile, this guy's tried to rob a woman here, but then Selene, still alive, comes out and drains his powers because, well, she's, I believe, pretty messed up by her fight with Ray or Rachel, Phoenix, and she also kills the innocent girl here because she says, "Hey, thank you," and then she says, "Well, okay, she's dead." And then later she is in the inner circle and she says. So Sebastian Shaw, who is the leader of the Hellfire Club, says, "Explain yourself, Selene. Why have you summoned us?" "Because, my dear Sebastian, earlier this evening, the Lord Cardinal were attacked by Rachel Summers, the X-Men's young Phoenix." And basically she wants to, retaliate. But Sebastian Shaw doesn't, want to do that. But Tessa, she is also mute with very... how do you say, analytic powers, agrees with Selene that they have to protect themselves because probably they want to come back, the X-Men or even Phoenix herself. But she also challenges Sebastian for the throne. She wants to get up there. And we have a couple of other members of the inner circle here. We have Black Bishop, Harley Leland, who has been once stabbed by Wolverine. He doesn't want to do that again. And there's also Black Rook called Friedrich von Room. He's going to be a pawn in this coming issue. And but Sebastian Shaw then agrees with Selene and says, "I agree with you about the girl. Her insult cannot be pardoned, nor the danger she represents ignored. I want her alive, Selene. A tool we can perhaps reshape to our purpose. Is that understood? Alive." Meanwhile, we are going to somewhere else. And we are getting introduced, well, not really, but because he's been introduced in other comics. It's Nimrod. Now, what is Nimrod? From what I've known, Nimrod is a experimental sentinel from the future. I believe what's it called? Let me double check because I just read it a moment ago. It's been, this is a book from the 80s, so forgive me if I don't remember everything. Oh yeah, from the days future past, there was an event, and then, basically he's hunting mutants, and he's now coming back to the past, to the present day of the X-Men. What's this? So we see now Rachel here. She is very hurt because of the claws of Wolverine. She's been bombarded by all these thoughts because she's also telepathic and telekinetic, and she has the powers of the Phoenix. And she is here lying in this park. And then we see a recap of what's happening in the past. And, we can see that Wolverine just barges in. And she says, "The only way you can stop me, Logan, is to kill me." So he did. I really love this image when, Wolverine popped his claws. Very impactful. And she's still alive because she uses her telekinetic powers to close the gap in her heart and her lungs. And she doesn't know what to do because she trusted Wolverine and she felt betrayed by her and by her teammates. And then she's coming, try to find help. And then she sees these two bodies that, Selene, sucked dry, and she's pretty pissed off. And because of her anger, she's now transforming into the Phoenix again. And "I knew it. I knew this was happen. Curse you, Wolverine. See what you have done." Meaning, by letting Selene live, Selene just killed two innocent people. Well, one of his innocents. And then she is going back to the Mauler cave, I guess, or cave or tunnels. And she is attacking Wolverine. And she pulls him up and throws him into these, railway. There's a train coming. Shadowcat comes in and faces through the earth with Wolverine, rescuing him. And then Phoenix or Rachel is gone. And they are being transported to the park of John Lennon Memorial Garden, Strawberry Fields. And we have also Caliban here. He's I believe a seeker or can track people. He's a tracker, I guess. So Wolverine is pretty messed up. And we see also here that Rogue and Storm feel bad about themselves. It seems that Rachel came to them for, I believe, guidance or concerns, and they didn't do anything with it. And Rachel felt ignored, and she didn't listen for to what Rachel has said. And they feel a little bit guilty about that, but they cannot change the past, so they need to move forward. Meanwhile, the Hellfire Club is here with their goons, and then we witness something. So Sebastian says, "What the devil is Selene playing with that idiot from Room?" So somehow she uses her powers to switch a flip, and then Von Room, who is a pawn, is transforming into a more feral beast, if you will. And so even the black, not the Black King, Black Bishop, Larry Leland, fears Selene. And Tessa says, "We witnessed probably a most specific voluntary transmutation talent, akin to lycanthropy, not sure how you say that correctly, activated through some psychic interference with Selene's own power." Okay, that's interesting. I'm not all too familiar with Selene power. I know she's very old. She's kind of a witch. I believe she was thousands of years ago born in Europe. And I believe near Rome that she lived. There's this whole storyline. It's pretty cool. And meanwhile, skipping a few pages, Nimrod is searching for, mutants. And he found something. Rachel is here still hurt because the powers of the Phoenix drained her. And this Rook found her, attacks her. And then Rogue comes in. But then the Rook, or the Feral Rook, or whatever it is, his name is, claws her open, and then she absorbs his powers, become feral herself, but also under the influence of Selene. And she is attacking Phoenix, but she fights back, but, her powers is, like I said, weakened. Selene comes in and holds Rogue because, she wants to wait until the powers of Rogue are waning and that the powers are coming back to the Rook again. Kitty doesn't know what's happening to Rogue, rescues her, but then she sees that there is something wrong with her. Selene explains that Rogue is still under her influence, but Rogue says, "No, I'm myself again." And meanwhile, the battle continues. So Harry Leland uses his gravity powers to, sink Colossus to the ground. He can control mass. Rogues dives to him, but then Selene uses her powers to disintegrate her costume, so she makes contact with his skin, transforms herself into organic steel, but she has to release Colossus, otherwise his arm will pull out of the socket. Pretty cool strategy if you think about it. And that's what I like about this writing of Chris Claremont. There's a technique, there is a strategy in here. It's not just mindless bashing and punching. No, there's actually strategy involved. And that's why I think his writing is pretty phenomenal in my opinion. And I really enjoyed this older comics. The paper quality, it's newsstand, so it's pretty thin. You can see that also with the colors, it doesn't pop as much. But I don't know, I just like it, just because it comes from my childhood. So yeah, I don't know, it's just really fun to look at. And it feels nice too, but I have to be careful. Like I said, it's newspaper. So they're enjoying themselves because what they are doing. So Rogue dives into the ground trying to help Colossus. And I believe that was the part that Storm lost her power somehow, but I don't know correctly because she is more like a commanding force here. So she is connecting telepathic. Well, that's a good question. How does she make contact with all of the other people? She says, Nightcrawler, yeah. Can you both travel? Yeah. Come at once, Callisto. You also, Rogue. Maybe she has some kind of a, I don't know, earpiece in her, talking to her teammates. I'm not entirely sure. But she orders the Rogue to retreat and, hey, leave Colossus. But Rogue says, no, execute an immediate earth shaker against Lord Cardinal. Storm, he'll die. Not if you act quick. Neutralize Leland, and Peter will no longer be affected by his ultra mass power. Only then he can be saved. Well, that's a major risk. I mean, if it takes too long, he's, I don't know, going to be crushed or suffocating. Anyway, so these goons come, and we see Rachel is still bleeding, panicking a little bit here and there. But before she can do anything, because she's going to flee now, she's going to get away, there's a mutant! Somebody shouting. And then enter Nimrod. And that leads us to the next issue that I have. This is fantastic. And it concludes this series. So we're going to review this also pretty soon. Guys, let me know what you think about this comic. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.